The most powerful person in the Republican Party isn't Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis. It's Rupert Murdoch. He controls Fox News, the New York Post, and the Wall Street Journal. And he is clearly disillusioned with Ron DeSantis, as evidenced by the massive change of tone on Fox.
DeSantis is like a 10-0 team, okay? He's got a booming economy, and more people are moving there than any other state in the country.
I don't have much of a relationship with the governor. He's not a relationship guy, as everyone knows. It's not. I don't think that's a.
It's Florida that looks like the future, and Ron DeSantis, you know, he looks like a future president, doesn't he?
This was an odd video delivered at an odd time, and maybe they wanted the controversy. If they did, they're getting it.
DeSantis wins. And he has made a promise, and he's making good on the promise.
Should DeSantis may have waited perhaps for 2028?
But Murdoch is in a tough spot right now. He doesn't believe Trump can win in 2024, and yet he doesn't seem to believe there are any other options. A Wall Street Journal op-ed today opined, could Tim Scott pull off an upset? The Republican primary race isn't over, as Democrats showed in 1984. The piece took pains to outline how Tim Scott could win in New Hampshire over Donald Trump, and then notes after New Hampshire comes South Carolina, where a home state win could propel Mr. Scott to frontrunner status, especially if most other defeated Republicans leave the race and endorse him, as most Democrats did in 2020 after Mr. Biden's South Carolina victory. That's not even pulling an inside straight, it's an inside royal flush. But to what point? They talked about 1984. Walter Mondale ended up getting the nomination after a scare, only to get beat by then-President Reagan in one of the largest election landslides in modern history. George Will is here, NewsNation senior political contributor, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist. It's good to see you. Look, you and I both worked for Murdoch at one point. How difficult of a position is he in right now?
For Fox News, covering Republican politics is not broadcasting, it's narrowcasting. It speaks every night, all day long, too, to the Republican nominating electorate. So it's an enormous deal that they seem to have fallen out of brief love affair with DeSantis.
Was that because they realized that their audience wasn't buying it and they're a little bit like the French Revolutionary who must figure out where their followers are going so he can lead them?
Mr. DeSantis has been out and about after the Florida legislature session ended for 2 months now, and it's not gone well. He has all the money in the world behind him. But so did the Edsel automobile in 1958. It lasted 3 years. People finally got a look at the Edsel and said, no thanks. And they're having an Edsel moment, I think, with DeSantis.
So they have that moment. I know your wife's working with Tim Scott, full disclosure, that says it doesn't change your view of things. As I read sort of the way the Republican advocacy media is looking at things, they're starting now to put out trial balloons. Is it Tim Scott? Is it Vivek Ramaswamy? Is it maybe Nikki Haley? We saw a little bit in the New York Post about her. It doesn't seem as though they've settled on a favorite horse.
There's 6 months till the first vote is cast. What we know, Leland, is that there are two binary choices the country doesn't like. One is Biden against Trump. It's quite clear. Within the Republican Party, the binary choice of Trump against DeSantis is also not raising enthusiasm. I think both those candidacies are brittle. And if I had to bet my net worth today, it's that neither of those guys wins Iowa.
And then, look, after Iowa, you got New Hampshire a couple days later, and then it's a jump ball till South Carolina if Donald Trump loses both of those, which I think is, to be fair, possible. You say nobody's happy with the Biden-Trump option, which is undoubtedly bearing out in polling, and it's pretty obvious from their unfavorables. That brings up the idea of the possibility of a third party candidate. No labels, which is backed by a bunch of very rich people who seem to think they know better than the electorate, are having a big event in New Hampshire. And the name that is currently being tossed around is Joe Manchin, who would get in, the senator from West Virginia, Democrat, whose political career seems to be over because he's a Democrat in West Virginia. How does that change things?
It has the potential to change enormously because No Labels has $70 million invested in a campaign simply not to say that we know more than the electorate, but to give the electorate a voice. They're trying with $70 million to get on as many state ballots as they can. And if they can get on enough that they have a reasonable shot at 270 electoral votes, and if the country is presented with the choice of Biden against Trump, there will be a third-party candidate.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.